Have you ever thought about a motorcycle vacation in Canada, and specifically the Canadian Maritimes region? Freedom Biker Tours has a tour program that takes riders through Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Cape Breton Island, and the world-famous Cabot Trail, riding through one-of-a-kind scenic locations of some of the best motorcycle roads in the world through this rugged and unbelievably scenic Atlantic coastal region, and experiencing the famous, authentically Canadian, diverse cultural landscape. Freedom Biker Tours is the #1 motorcycle tour company in Canada. Your cage-free, worry-free vacation experience. No cars, no buses, just motorcycles. We are as close to all-inclusive as you can get, and safety is our primary concern. You don't need to worry about anything. We take care of everything, so let us do that for you. Hey gang, this is JD from Freedom Biker Tours. I am personally inviting you to join us March 16th for the third event in a series of live stream events on YouTube. The March 16th live stream will showcase our tour program, Ride the Canadian Maritimes. So join us on Saturday, March 16th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time for an hour of conversation, questions, and fun looking at our program, Ride the Canadian Maritimes. Check out Facebook and YouTube for the participant links, and we'll see you there.
Well, the good news is that we have 11 of us here already, and welcome to the third in our live stream series, and we're looking at Ride the Canadian Maritimes. I'm the host with the most, I guess I can say, mostly because I have control of the StreamYard, which is a cool thing. Anyway, so we have a panel that we bring in for these discussions, and I'm going to start by bringing in my counterpart on the west coast of Canada, who's a road captain for the West Coast, and I have a unique advantage over him. I've ridden the West Coast, BC, Alberta. I've ridden all that stuff, and I know he hasn't ridden here. So I'm going to be able to talk about the Maritimes, and I have this advantage over everyone that I'm here, they're not. Na boo boo. But I'd like to bring in Travis, Sub-Zero Productions, who's the West Coast road captain and also one of the videographers. So let's welcome Travis. We're just going to tell you things like me. I'm Rob. I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm the Ride the Maritimes road captain. I ride a Victory cross country, and I've been riding for many, many years. Welcome, Travis.
Oh, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. I'm Travis from the West Coast. Yeah, Rob does have the advantage over me, but not for very long because I'm going to get to the East Coast one of these days and try to check out these roads that he's been bragging about for a while now. I ride a 2019 Harley Davidson Ultra Limited, and I've spent a lot of time riding around BC and Alberta, a little bit of Saskatchewan, and all the way to Manitoba, but I haven't gone any further than that.
That's the fun part of all this, and that's the great part about these live streams. We get to talk about the differences between our roads and things like that. And so the next person I'm going to introduce is from all the way in tomorrow. He's already wished us happy St. Patrick's Day, so I'm spoiling that for him. But we do have people in Australia who are interested in riding in Canada, so I'm going to bring in David from Ride the World Motorcycle Tours. Hello, David.
Well, welcome and good morning to tomorrow, and thank you for taking my St. Patrick Day's wish from me. And the beauty is I've ridden in neither of your roads, so I just sit here watching and unable to contribute, but my time will come. My name's David. I own Ride the World Motorcycle Tours. We do tours all around the world, and we're working with Freedom Biker Tours, Freedom Biker Tour. I get my mouth to work as a work. Seeing I'm in tomorrow, I'm a little bit ahead of time. I ride a Harley Davidson Softail Deluxe and also a Royal Enfield Himalayan. I did a nice windy road. You were talking about curvy roads earlier. I went up a few last week. It was going really well till the guy on the GS Beamer, his motor stopped, and we still don't know why. So I've got to follow him up yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Maritimes because I'm on the east coast of Australia and you're on the east coast of Canada.
Exactly. The interesting part about all this is I've driven in Australia, but I haven't ridden in Australia. So I think there are definitely some differences there, and I look forward to talking about riding in Australia on a future live stream.
The
And
important one too, Rob, made me think of it. The most important part and why doing group tour rides is best, because if I go to Canada, I'm on the other side of the road. And when you come to Australia, you're on the other side of the road. So it helps when you've got someone in front of you who knows which side of the road you should come out of on the driveways.
that is always an advantage. And Travis and JD have that story from the first trip in Calgary when people went down the wrong side of the road heading to the hotel.
That had happened too.
Yeah. So the last person I'm going to bring in is the founder, owner, chief cook and bottle washer, main mover and shaker of Freedom Biker Tours, and that's JD, who was before we started was kind of yammering on and yakking, and I didn't want to interrupt him by kicking him out of the studio, But he's here now, so now we can say hi.
Live long and prosper.
Isn't that like May 4th or something?
No. Live long and prosper. I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Trying to offend as many science geeks as I can.
Anyway, greetings everybody. Thanks for joining. It's good to see you guys all again. So, David, my question to you is which side of the road is the right or correct?
The correct side is whichever country you're in and staying on that side of it. That's the correct side to ride in any country in the world. As to that, what you were indicating, if we go back to the Romans, supposedly the Romans drove on the left side of the road. And it's because of the French, you're on the other side of the road. But we're not going to go there because I watched Napoleon the other night.
All right, yeah. So, yes, I'm JD. I'm the founder and owner of Freedom Biker Tours. What do I ride? Well, I have two Harleys. I ride a 2018 Street Glide Special that's been significantly customized by the previous owner. And I also ride a 2017 Softail Deluxe that's been significantly customized by moi. And that there. So those are my bikes. When I guide the Western tours, I ride the Street Glide, obviously. I keep the Deluxe. It's a show bike because it's got a lot of custom artwork on it and that kind of thing. And I keep that as my local bike and my my rally bike. It's a show bike kind of thing. So there you have it. That's it.
Cool.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Before I jump into too many things, I just want to acknowledge those in the side chat. I see Brad, Iowa Hog Riders here, Greg, Ray. We also see Road Gliders, seen them on the previous live streams. Megan, yay Maritimes.
Road Gliders is Johnny. Actually, he lives in southern Alberta, and we had lunch with him last week when we were in Alberta.
That's cool. He's wondering if David has any experience with $1 Million Bogan.
No, I haven't. I just saw that message there, and I haven't met $1 Million Bogan.
Have you heard of $1 Million Bogan?
No. I know what a bogan is. Just in all over the East Coast.
Well,
yes.
We need to work on your YouTube education. $1 Million Bogan is a large YouTuber from Australia who's traveling the world on a motorcycle and sharing his adventures. And then we also have Duncan McLean from the East Coast here in the side chat as well.
Duncan is our guy at Duncan's our guy at Tamac Tours in Halifax. He's our guy that does just so everybody knows, Duncan does our walking tour of the city of Halifax, the Citadel, the Titanic, the fire explosion of 1917. Duncan also arranges our tall ship dinner cruise on Halifax Harbor. He arranges our support
ahead of everyone on day one. We're supposed to talk about that when we get there.
Anyway, Duncan's an integral part of the Freedom Biker Tours team. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And he's also a good friend of mine. So there you go. Yay, Duncan.
Awesome. So as we do a start of every live stream, we're going to spend a few minutes giving JD a chance to talk more. So JD, you can talk to us about Freedom Biker Tours, how it developed and why.
Well, I did a I did a master's degree 9 years ago in tourism management, a graduate degree, and I did my thesis on motorcycle tourism and biker culture. And over a year's worth of research on that paper made me realize that there was no Canadian-owned and operated motorcycle tour company promoting Canada as an international motorcycle touring destination. So I saw an opportunity. And through that research, I also realized that the values of the old school biker culture had been kind of let go, had disappeared. And the brotherhood, the freedom, the authenticity, the acceptance, all that was kind of disappearing. And I thought, reviving that along with promoting Canada was the way to go. So here we are. In essence, that's what it's all about. And our values are freedom, authenticity, acceptance, and brotherhood / sisterhood. Those are my personal values as well as the company values. We promote ourselves as a cage-free, worry-free, no cars, no buses, just motorcycles. It's kind of the old same reason a dog sticks its head out of a vehicle window, right? Because you experience everything, you smell it, you hear it, you see it, you feel it, right? So that's why we call it being cage free. We talk a lot about throttle therapy. That's actually a real term. From a psychology perspective, throttle therapy is a real medical term for meditation. They say that if you talk to a lot of therapists, they'll say that riding a motorcycle in of itself is a form of meditation. And believe me, it is. But one of the funny things I found about throttle therapy in doing my research was one of the definitions was it's the term for time spent on a motorized bike with the intent to enjoy feelings of euphoria that may exceed the capabilities of prescription or illegal drugs. That's my favorite definition of throttle therapy. So riding in a group is the safest way to go, especially for people that don't know the terrain, don't know the countryside, don't know the roads, that kind of thing. It's the safest way to go. And for people that don't have a lot of experience riding cruiser style motorcycles. Last year on one of our tours, we had a fellow from the UK, and he was only used to riding smaller bikes. And within 2 days, riding a street glide, he was loving it. He was maneuvering that thing around like crazy, like he'd been doing it for years. So it was really cool to see that. So when I talk about it's the safest way to go, it's because the group guide sets the pace, right? It allows more riders of varying levels of experience to participate. We basically ride, I call it the lowest common denominator. We basically ride, the whole group rides at the pace of the most, inexperienced rider in the group. But there is a minimum level of experience that you've got to have in order to ride in one of our groups. So it's not like we're trucking along at 10 kilometers an hour. I mean, we do the speed limit, right? But we're there to have fun. We're there to take in the scenery. We're not here to run a race. That's not a vacation, right? So we set up so the tour participants can relax, enjoy their saddle time. It's a vacation. Why do you want to rush? It's a vacation. The tour participants don't need to worry about navigation. That's what we've got our guide for and our support vehicle for. Those two team members work together so that the group in the middle just enjoy. Put your phone away. You don't need to worry about anything. Just take in the scenery, relax, ride, look at the wildlife, all that kind of stuff. We'll stop at places for photo ops and everything like that. You don't need to worry about anything. They're hand-picked roads that we ride. The most popular roads and the best motorcycle roads in Canada or wherever the tour is around the world. The accommodations, they're all quality accommodations. Even the campground we stay in on Ride the Rockies in Best of BC, it's glamping. I mean, it's an amazing, comfortable place to stay. We have a cookout steak dinner. We have cookout breakfast in the morning. There's a live band. We sit around the fire. We drink wine. It's all good, right? The food and beverage establishments that we go to, again, they're typically biker-friendly places who love the motorcycle clientele. Well, motorcyclists are going to go and eat in places where the food's good, right? That's what we do. So you're always going to get good quality food. The attractions and the excursions, well, we try and combine the experience of the region that we're riding in. So, you know, there's the ice fields. You get to walk on a glacier when you're up in between Jasper and Banff. You know, in the Maritimes, when we're going around the Cape Breton Island on the Cabot Trail, there, you know, we take in a lot of Acadian cuisine and experience in the Maritimes. On the West Coast, it's the opposite. We do a lot of mountain stuff and a lot of water stuff, and it's just, you know, we try and build in the activities and excursions that are iconic to that region. We have a support vehicle with each tour. The support vehicle takes extra luggage. We have a first aid kit, snacks, water, soft drinks. So when we stop, nobody's ever thirsty, or, you know, we've got lots of energy bars and chips and nuts and that kind of stuff. So our tours, reliability and safety is of paramount importance, right? We never leave anybody stranded. We never had a breakdown yet. Hopefully we never will, but you know, we have checks and balances in place to handle that kind of thing. So that's why we say it's a worry-free experience. Leave everything to us, right? Now, as far as pricing goes, we're as close to all-inclusive as you can get. And what I mean by that is, for instance, as an example, with the accommodation, the hotels, all the taxes are included for the hotels. When it comes to any included meals, all the taxes and gratuities are included in our pricing for the included meals. You know, the Freedom Biker Tour crew knows the area, the roads, the cool places to stop, the photo ops, the biker-friendly places. So our packages are vacation packages, right? The only variable in the different itineraries is the meals. Each itinerary has some meals included, some meals not included. It just depends on the itinerary for reasons, certain reasons. Transparency. Our pricing, there's no hidden costs in our pricing. Our pricing is all per person, right? So if you read through our website, and you'll see exactly what is included and what's not included. You're not going to get hit with any surprises on our tour programs. That's really, really of paramount importance that everybody understands the transparency of our programs. Oh, and you don't need to ride a Harley to participate. Excuse me. If our rental partners rent Harleys, but if you want to ride your own bike, and you can either trailer it, ship it, ride it, whatever, to the point of departure, Honda, Suzuki, Can-Am, Yamaha, Victory, doesn't matter. All we care about is
Victory. I'm leading this ride.
all we care about is you share the same passion and the same values, and that you want to have fun and it's a vacation. That's what we care about. We are the only motorcycle tour company offering a motorcycle vacation tour package in Canada's Maritimes. This is really important. Okay, we are the only one offering a full 11-day vacation package motorcycle tour in the Maritimes. Nobody else is doing that. Okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about our rental partner in the Maritimes. It's Moncton Harley Davidson. They are our rental partner. And I think Don, the sales manager there, might be listening. If you are, Don, say hi in the chat. Okay. And then Duncan. I don't think so either, brother. A 175 won't be able to keep up. No.
Actually, I think on a lot of these highways it probably could, because a lot of these are secondary highways that we're going to be doing, which makes them more twisty and more enjoyable. It's not about a race for speed. The 175, I think, might do pretty well.
To answer Johnny Road Glider's question, the answer is no. We want the riders, the tour participants, to put their phones away until we stop. Right. What we do is we provide the itinerary in a document that they can have on their phone that has all the links in it for the routings in case they need to look up something. But we don't want them to have to do that. That's why there's the road captain and then the person in the support vehicle at the back. You know, we don't want everybody to have to be checking their phones all the time. That's stressful for people, especially if they haven't ridden in that region before. We don't want them to do that. We want them to enjoy. They're paying for a vacation. We want them to have that vacation. Make sense?
And I'm old school. I do if I could do paper maps again, I would. I'm a navigator by trade. In the military, I love maps.
I'd like to see you whip out a map on a Harley, man, on your victory. Be riding with one hand and then flapping in the wind like this.
Yeah, piece of cake. Done it in a helicopter at 90 mile an hour, no problem. Piece of cake.
So that's it. That's it for my little spiel about why the benefits are, what the benefits are for Freedom Biker Tours tour. And now I'm going to kick it over to our road captain and our main man in the Maritimes, Sir Rob.
Awesome. So first thing I'm going to do is actually put up a map for people to look at, because maps are always entertaining to look at. And so this is going to show us the map of Nova Scotia. And I shared the wrong one, so I'm going to fix that and see, and then work on going back to the better one as soon as I click on it, and because I opened the wrong tab. And then I'm going to reshare all this.
That's why you prefer paper maps, right?
Exactly. This electronic stuff, I know I'm too old for this, so let's make it up as I go along. And then back to this screen, share screen. There we go. Now we got the one with the lines on it, all the squigglies. So, big overview, what we would call a big hand, small map. This is what we look at in the Maritimes of the 3 different provinces we're going to carry and how we're going to move around. As you can see, there's a lot of water around us, which, as I was actually commenting before we actually started this, one of the benefits of the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, the rides here, we follow the coastline. All the original trails, all the original roads follow the coastline, which makes them nice and twisty with great scenery with an ocean on one side. And that is really unique, because having ridden in BC due to the mountains, which makes them totally twisty, I think that you're going to find a lot of the roads and don't have that ocean vista. Now, David, in the Australia, it's been many years since I've actually been down there, and I spend more time flying along the coast than I did driving along the coast. So do the roads along the coast, are they more inland, or do they actually follow the coastline?
In Australia, we have a Great Dividing Range, runs just north of Melbourne, goes up through to Queensland. So there's a flat area between the ocean and the Great Divide. So those roads are fairly straight and regular, but then it's when you go to climb the Great Divide, that's when it gets really interesting. Roads like the Oxley Highway, Macquarie Pass, then you get over onto the plains area on the other side. So as you go backwards and forwards over the Great Divide, the roads get very interesting.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to zoom the map in, and we're going to talk about basically Halifax itself. Because day one, after we've all met in Halifax, we spend the day in Halifax. Now, of course, I actually live up to the up this way. I think Duncan lives up that way too. But anyway, downtown Halifax, very historic city, predates Canada essentially. because Nova Scotia was the first place a lot of the settlers landed. If you watch the TV show Curse of Oak Island, we'll talk about that for tomorrow. But down the Halifax Harbourfront has so much history there that dates back hundreds of years. And so we're going to spend some time dealing with some of that. And even though this is a motorcycle tour, we are going to spend the day on foot checking out the Halifax waterfront. As you can see from this map, the hotel is pretty much right downtown. I love how the Google wants to show Alexander Keith's. I think there's better beer than that, but I'm kind of biased. That's a different story. There's so many things on the waterfront we're going to get to see. You'll be able to go up to the Citadel, which goes back to British occupation of Halifax when they first settled it. There's so much history there. We have, things like the Titanic, the Halifax explosion. There's many features and factors that come into play when you're looking at the Halifax. But then, from an area right where you see where it says the Cable Wharf, we actually have our booze cruise, for lack of a better term, where we're just going to go out and sail the Halifax Harbor on the water side on the tall ship Silva. And that's one of those cool things that you need to do in an oceanside community, because it's enjoyable.
Can I say something? The reason why we're doing that first day in Halifax is because of the nature of getting to Halifax. And with people coming from other parts of the world or other, parts of Canada and the US, they might be flying in. Not everyone's going to arrive the day before. Some might arrive that morning, and it's getting people oriented to their rental bikes or whatever the case may be. We had to build in an extra day. So that morning, there's nothing going on. We hit the road and the walking tour, and then the afternoon activities and the evening tall ship dinner cruise. We start that midday to allow us the morning to get everybody, situated that didn't make it in the day before.
Yeah, flying into Halifax is always an entertaining expedition, just because the way flights are scheduled, we actually don't do as well as a lot of people think.
Yeah. So logistically and operationally, it had to be done like that.
Well, that makes perfect sense. That's what you have to do to make things work. So after that day, when we first actually get on the bikes, we're actually going to head out and do what we locals like to call the Peggy's Cove Loop, where we do the nice squiggly lines down to Peggy's Cove. Now, Peggy's Cove is one of those, it's the photo I put for the thumbnail of this video, and it is our quintessential maritime image, and there's no debating. It is what defines the Maritimes. That area also nearby, it's less than a kilometer away, is one of the sites of the Swissair 111 memorials. One of our largest airline tragedies that I actually have a large part in happened on September 2nd, 1998, when an airliner crashed, killing over 200 people. And it literally crashed in between Bayswater and Peggy's Cove. And we want to definitely pay tribute to that, because that is something that really impacted the region. And it'll actually, when I tell stories about it on the trip, you'll understand how it impacted the region and the type of people in the region. So we'll continue following the coastline and taking in some of those points. But then the big thing is hitting the small communities of places like Mahone Bay, where we have postcard worthy photos are all there with, the epic scenes that even when I send pictures to people, they're like, oh, where'd you get that photo? And they just don't believe me. And then on to historic Lunenburg. Lunenburg is the home of the Blue Nose 2. It's on the Blue Nose being the ship that's on our dime. Going down there, it's a unique waterfront, very historic, due to things like they have a fisherman's memorial there. A memorial due to the people lost at sea, because fishing and the ocean is such a large part of our heritage here. Then it's a quick blast back to Halifax because, you got pubs to hit, things like that. And, the trick is planning this trip. It's all secondary roads. And I remember having the discussion with JD, and he's like, it's only 180 kilometers. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to take you like 3 hours. And, that's the interesting part here is you don't want to hurry. You don't have to hurry. And that's really cool. So, Duncan mentions airline flights, and that is true. They are still adding more and more flights, which is great for me living here and Duncan, because then it's easier for us to go visit places. But so, guys, do you have any questions? Like that first day is very historic, very scenic. Do you have any questions about it?
Not me. I designed the itinerary.
Yes, but
I know there's definitely some things I'd like to check out along there, like definitely Peggy's Cove.
Yeah.
The Lindenberg there.
Good news about Peggy's Cove is we will beat the crowd there in the morning. I'm quite happy about that, which might make some good photo opportunities. We just need to get ahead of the cruise ship terminal, because the cruise tours. Duncan could probably talk a lot. If Duncan was here, he could talk more about that. But Halifax has a very vibrant cruise industry, and they spent the parking lot at Peggy's Cove is more dedicated to cruise line buses than it is to everything else. They do have designated motorcycle parking, which is awesome. And other than that, as Megan says, the nice slow first day. There's a couple areas on that route that I will definitely be slowing the pack down because there are some, changing radius corners that drop to 30 kilometers an hour that if people aren't paying attention, someone's going in the rhubarb. I've taken group rides down there before, and I have to slow down for certain corners because they just catch people who because you want to enjoy the view. As JD has mentioned, this isn't this is about enjoying your vacation. Having me set a pace where you don't have to stress about missing a corner. We want to make sure you have a good time, and cranking a few corners, even if it is only 40 kilometers an hour, because it's such a tight turn, is still going to be fun for you. So, and letting people get used to the rentals, that is a good one. I think by the time we've left Halifax, you will have been used to the rentals, but that's a downtown Halifax crazy traffic thing. Hey, Dale, the Foggy Trekker, is here. He's actually from Lunenburg, and I would check out the channel Foggy Trekker because he does have some neat videos of that area.
I actually did that. He subscribed to our YouTube channel, and I went and had a look at his.
Yeah, I saw him at the bike show a couple weeks ago, and so he's from that area, and so he knows. If you want to see more videos of that area, he's got some up of that, and I highly recommend checking out the Foggy Trekker YouTube channel. Thanks, Dale. I didn't even think of that, but now I see your name, I'd say go for that. So, moving on to the next day. This is one that when JD got me involved in, I really changed up quite a bit for what he wanted to do versus what I made him do. Basically, he was trying to go a different way to St. John, New Brunswick, and I turned it into a bit more of a ride where you get to see different things. So on this day, we head out of Halifax up the Bedford Basin, and we take one of the more common motorcycle roads, and then we'll head up to Elmsdale on the old highway. And then we just lollygag through the interior. That's our farming country through there. Nice rolling hills, very agriculture. You run into a tractor on the road, so you take your time. It's great. You pass through Windsor. We'll have a short stint on the highway before we head off to one of our scenic lookouts called Blomidon. That's where we start getting in the valley. But as you start seeing, we're looking at the basin of the Bay of Fundy, that kind of stuff. We as JD has said, we try to. Oh, Duncan, there's no cruise ships that day. Oh, you got me really thinking now. But anyway, so we're going to go to do Blommet and Lookoff. I actually keep meaning to add a video of my YouTube channel to that point. I just keep forgetting. But then we're going to head down to Halls Harbor. And Halls Harbor is a neat little spot on the ocean. It's one of those spots where at low tide, the fishing boats are sitting on the ocean floor. Then, as the tide comes in, and if I remember correctly, I looked at the tide tables. While we were there, the tide's going to change by 8 feet. And so it's going to start picking up those boats. And the Bay of Fundy has the world's largest tides, which is kind of unique. And we'll have a chance to watch that. And then we're going to depart there and take the old highway and just cruise along through the Annapolis Valley. That is our wine region. So JD and Travis will probably understand that because that's our wine region, the Valley wines. Stopping in Canada's oldest community, Annapolis Royal. That's actually over 400 years old. Coincidentally, where my wife's from. And then we're going to get on the ferry in Digby to head over to New Brunswick. And that little 2-hour ferry is like the BC ferries. We head across, and then we'll just get to St. John for the night. So this is, I find it a fairly enjoyable ride. It's an area I cover a lot, and I just forget to turn my video camera on, but that's a totally different story. Any questions yet, guys?
Keep going.
Okay, well, I want to make sure I know I said I was going to let you talk about the things we do, but I just seem to keep rambling. So,
no, man, you're the road captain. When we do that tour this year, I'm just doing what you tell me to do.
And you're going to listen?
Enjoy that one.
Yeah. Now recorded on the internet for posterity. JD says he's going to listen.
And I'm a witness.
So the next day, this is a fun one. We're going to cover a road called the Fundy Trail Parkway. It's a new summer-only road that literally follows the coastline. And I love zooming in on this part because I love how squiggly it is. Because motorcyclists love squiggly maps. And this road, I rode it last summer going north to south. It's always a good time. And
it's a relatively new trail too, right?
Yes, it's only a couple years old. It's they've been building. This is actually a section they've been building. It's like the Highwood Pass where it's seasonal with no winter maintenance. So they actually shut it down for a large portion of the year. And they only open it up again at certain times. But there's no winter maintenance on it, so it's not scraped up by snow plows, frost heaves, or anything like that. Now, it is
that definitely looks like a fun road.
Oh, it's all chip seal, and it's also 40 kilometers an hour. No one does that, but it is a very fun road because it follows the coastline. It's also up and down and all around. We'll do a quick stop at the interpretive center. That's kind of a neat thing to see and do. And there's also a covered bridge. The Maritimes, Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, covered bridges is kind of a neat thing. And we're actually going to be able to pass through one. And my big thing is I want us to make sure we stop there and take some photos because passing through a covered bridge is one of those unique things. So we'll be able to get some pictures of people passing through a covered bridge. And then what we'll do is we'll continue on through the Fundy National Park and work our way up to Moncton. But before we get to Moncton, we're going to stop at one of those unique places called Hopewell Rocks. Now, Hopewell Rocks, if you actually Google it, it's because of the high tides in the Bay of Fundy, you have places where the rocks and the rock formations that are normally completely submerged, you can actually walk among them when it's low tide, and just enjoy, walk around on the ocean floor as long as it's low tide, and then just zip back up. Yeah. The Iowa Hog Rider talking about covered bridges too. Yeah. No, it's covered bridges are a neat one. New Brunswick actually is not covered on this tour, but New Brunswick does have the world's longest covered bridge at like nearly 1,000 feet. That's a completely different story though. But I love sidetracking. That's what I do. And then we'll head on that day we'll end in Moncton, New Brunswick. Staying at the, not sure which hotel, but it's easy to get to. And I
stay at the
like
Rod
JD's
Hotel.
selection because a lot of these when we're in the cities, the routes work really well. That it's mostly right turns, and for those not in who drive on the right turns are easier than left in the group ride.
Yeah, that night
Any questions? Anything you want to comment about that day?
That night we stay at the Rod Hotel in Moncton. It's the same hotel company we use on PEI in Charlottetown, and then we have dinner at the Pump House Brew Pub and Restaurant that night.
Yeah. So the next day, avoiding highways, we're heading up to lobster capital of Canada that has this monster lobster that I still can't find the picture that I took of, but they have a big monument to the lobster, which is pretty cool. But we avoid the freeways. It literally is going to take us 5 minutes longer to avoid the freeways, but we go up the secondary highways to Shediac, New Brunswick. And JD, I'll let you. Do you want to talk about the lobster tour that day?
Well, we go out, and it's a lobster-themed cruise. We go out, we catch our own lobsters, we cook them, we eat them. We get a feeling for the whole culture and cuisine of the Maritimes by doing that.
Sounds like someone just got a phone call.
And
so the Shediac is pretty cool. Like there is the large, right at this, and they even have it on the thing, giant lobster. Very, it's one of those photos you got to take while you're there. But of course, I can't find the one I took last time I was there. But then we're going to finish this day by heading towards Prince Edward Island and heading across a very long bridge that we call the Confederation Bridge. And it's a new thing. We only opened it about 10 years ago or so. Or was it longer than that? I can't actually remember. But it's a bridge on the Prince Edward Island. Because at the time there was ferry-only connection. What we will do, though, is we will actually get off the highway and come back and get a nice group photo where we see the viewpoint in the park that has the backdrop of the bridge. And that's every time I take a tour over there, a group ride, we actually enjoy going over to that because you get those pictures you just can't get anywhere else. And then
I do have a question about that, Rob.
What's that?
I said I do have a question about that bridge. How is the wind on it? I know in the Mackinac Bridge in Michigan there that they have the grating on it so that the wind can travel through it. How is it actually in the center of the bridge for wind and stuff?
So I've gone across it in pickup with an RV. I've gone across it in a small car. I've gone across it in a motorcycle. It's always windy, but for the motorcycles, that has solid barricades so that you are not really hampered by the wind. It does obstruct the view somewhat, but overall, unless the wind is coming right down it versus perpendicular to it, you actually aren't really impacted by the wind at all on a bike. They do close it when high winds. They'll close it to big rigs and stuff like that, just due to the high winds. That's fairly common around here, having the bridges closed to high-sided traffic.
It's one of the coolest things I've ever ridden and driven over. It's like you're driving off the end of the earth.
That's not that bad.
One of the days that I
So basically, we're spending 2 nights on PEI. PEI is considered Canada's home of Confederation. That's where our Confederation documents were signed. So very equivalent to a lot of the history of the Constitution for the U.S. Charlottetown is where we had our Constitution signed, where we have our Confederation documents signed. We're going to spend a day and do a little bit of touristing around the island. Now, this is kind of an interesting one because I did reach out to a couple different other YouTubers and other motorcycle riders about where to go and where I could do certain things. The interesting part is, there's different things about PEI that make it unique. Red sand beaches and Anne of Green Gables are 2 of the big ones. And so we want to make sure we hit those with different things like in Cavendish, the red sand beaches, and just doing some of the secondary roads. It's kind of interesting that the entire island, the entire province is only 140 kilometers long. And so it is our smallest province, but it's a very enjoyable community. And I think many people will enjoy the second night where we've given a lot of time for you to explore downtown Charlottetown, which I think is one of those opportunities to just wander around and enjoy. Anyone else have anything you want to mention? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm covering too much on you, JD. That's because I like to talk, but that's a different story.
You're doing a great job, brother. Great job.
Well, you're talking about this is the fun of this is you want to talk. We're talking about things that I enjoy and I just enjoy talking about. So you have to tell me if I'm talking too much.
Nope. Talk some more.
Yeah. So anyway, the next day we're heading out of Charlottetown, and we're actually going to take what we call the Wood Island Ferry. That's where we're going to head a little bit to the southeast. Get on the ferry. We have to leave a little earlier this morning. The ferries don't run that often, so we have to leave a little earlier to get there on time to do a short ferry as in a couple hours, over to towards Pictou, and then from there we're going to follow the coastline up to the Cape George Lighthouse, working our way down to Antigonish, and I actually think we might be somewhat in competitive nature with Australia on weird names. But when you start looking at some of our community names in this section of Nova Scotia, you're going to see different things like Tatamagouche. We also have New Glasgow, Antigonish, things like that, which I always enjoy having people from away try to pronounce them if they haven't heard them before. So then we're going to cross into Cape Breton, which Cape Breton is its own. It's almost like they want to be their own province, I think, because they're also their own very special culture. And then we're going to head up to Bedeque, and we're going to do 2 nights in Bedeque because we need to do the day of the Cabot Trail. Now, the Cabot Trail is only a few hundred kilometers, but even when I do it every year, I plan an entire day, 10 hours. I plan on it. Road gliders, asking about turf options along with the surf, there's always surf and turf options. Of course there is. Because also we have to understand seafood allergies and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely acknowledge seafood allergies and those kind of things. Yeah, Foggy Trucker, I agree. Cape George is an absolute blast. So the Cabot Trail in its own day. I have some videos on my Dead Knot YouTube channel of various sections of that. But one thing we will avoid is the Englishtown Ferry, purely due to timings. Is it can be you roll on right away, or whether or not you end up waiting for an hour, because I've waited for an hour myself, whereas going around is a nice twisty road, but we do that. Then we're going to continue along. The interesting part is it's almost you have to be careful with your fuel stops. You usually need one fuel stop at some point, but not everywhere has premium fuel. So we have to also keep that in mind where we stop. And there are many sections where we stop purely for scenic viewpoints, such as Cape Smoky, and some of the things where we just go look at different things, and we're able to see such nice viewpoints. We want to go and have a look so people can see them, because there is a lot of scenery here. And I don't, again, as JD has mentioned, this is people's vacation. We don't want to just roll by and not stop and smell the roses. So if I do have a video as well, Marguerite Harbor, where you stop, Marguerite Forks, where you can stop and see the Cabot Trail. Get those photographs to show you were there. And you want to be able to really embrace the experience. The Cabot Trail, like I said, that's a full day. I know in the intro video that was made, I was leaving the Scotch factory. We won't be stopping at that distillery, but it really was enjoyable. But we can't stop everywhere. Sorry. So then heading down the pretty much our last day, this is one of the few areas where we will cover the same road in the other direction. Most of this trip, other than the exception of this day, we are covering very little of the same road for a long loop. And I'm really kind of proud of that fact because you don't want to do too much of the same road. But then what we need to do is we need to work our way back to Halifax. So on this day, we head for what here we call the Eastern Shore. And again, we will spend more than 100 kilometers just following the coastline. And it's very twisty. By this time, everyone's really enjoying the bikes. So I'll probably make sure you get a chance to really carve the corners. You're going to be able to just enjoy the ride, stopping in different places. And we're just going to then work our way back. We're going to stop in a historic village for lunch at Sherbrooke, go to the tea house for a nice little lunch. Then just continue along through Sheet Harbor and all the various small, quaint little villages. And one thing I should have mentioned earlier is that a lot of these secondary roads, we will not be going quickly because we're going through a lot of small towns, speed limit 60 kilometers an hour, and you're just there to enjoy. And this is not a race. We're not going to be trying to do what we can to make time. This is just simply enjoy the ride. And I know it's kind of been touched on in past live streams. If we're not trying to make you ride to the speed that you are uncomfortable. We want to make sure that you are comfortable and enjoy your vacation with us. So this last trip, even here, this last segment, I will lead us through secondary roads rather than go into Halifax and get on the freeways and crazy silly city traffic. We'll go the back roads and come in to the airport that way. More enjoyable, less traffic, more scenic. That's literally the best way in my mind to do it. Then we end the night with the get together at the hotel, and we're right at the airport so people can head out in the following days. And that is the day-by-day breakdown of the Ride the Maritimes tour. JD, what would you like to add to all this? I know I've been talking for about the last 40 minutes.
You've done an amazing job. It's this tour is it's a once in a lifetime bucket list opportunity. We've got a fellow Ray that's on here. Hopefully, Ray, you still there? He's already sent in his reservation, and I think he's got another one of his close friends, maybe one or two others, and they want to come out and do it. And I've been out there several times in my life, and it's just the Maritimes is it's Canada, but it's so different than other parts of Canada. It's something that's not to be missed. And especially,
yeah, it is. It's one of those things where I've over the years explained. I can't describe it because I'm not sure how to explain it in the way you'd understand.
Well, that's the old biker thing. If I have to explain it, you wouldn't understand.
Well, it's like a lot of Canada too. There's a lot of rides on even the western side or the eastern side that you don't get anything else anywhere else. Riding in the either the west coast or the east coast or to the Rockies, it's all an experience worth trying, checking out.
Being in the travel and tourism industry for 40 years, the one thing that has always been made very clear to me is people don't understand the vastness of Canada and the difference, the significant differences in our regions, our provinces and our regions. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So I encourage everybody that's listening, talk to your friends. If you ride a motorcycle, come on, ride with us. Get out here. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's fun. Everybody deserves a vacation, especially on a motorcycle.
Absolutely. The only reason I work these days is to fund motorcycle vacations and cruises and other vacations. But that's a different story.
Yeah. No, I don't have any other questions.
I actually like, I'm going to put it up here. I actually like the quote, and I think I'm going to steal that from Road Gliders. We're there to see, not drag an E.
Nice. That.
That's a good one. Yeah. I will be stealing that for future use for sure. That's definitely a good one. And I definitely think, that's something we can incorporate in some of our, explanations to people.
Well, I think Johnny's going to come on one of our tours this year, but maybe he's angling towards this one instead of the Rockies tour. I don't know.
Well, I totally would encourage that. Totally worth it. I might be a little biased, but that's me.
Well, see, if you go once, you'd learn the roads, and then the second time you go, then you can drag the knee.
Right.
And just go by yourself.
Well, we've got some accolades here from your buddy who lives in Peggy's Cove or Lunenburg or whatever, the Foggy Trekker. He says it's a good package. Right on. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely I would check out his channel. He's got a lot of, especially some of the scenic seaside stuff and Mahone Bay. He's got video of that on his channel. So I would definitely recommend the Foggy Trekker channel. Worth checking out, guys.
Can we borrow some of the video footage?
I'll drop him an email, see what he lets us use. But it looks like we still got people going in the side chat. And what else do we want to talk about, guys? Or are we pretty much done for today already?
Well, we're cruising we're at 1 hour now, so I think we're good. David,
do you have anything where we aim to be, right? So that's almost perfect. Well, if that's the case, then I would like to thank everyone for coming. Look forward to seeing us again on April 6th. We're going to talk about riding Canada's West Coast. That'll be where Travis and JD get to do more talking because that's in their backyard. But because I know it fairly well, because I used to live there, I'm going to ask a lot of questions to make them answer them. But that's part of the fun of this. And Dave is just going to laugh at us all just because this is all new to him, and he's just excited to be part of it. So that's our shout out to Australia. Is if anyone from Australia is interested in joining us on these tours, your main point of contact will be David at Freedom Biker or Ride the World Motorcycle Tours, and he will definitely be your ace in the hole for working on booking any of these trips, and he will know everything you need to know. And we encourage you to talk to him as our travel partner.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add, David? Just because we want to make sure that
Well, I'm finding these very interesting because I've not been to Canada. Here we go, confession time. And I just find it fascinating because in some way you're saying it's so different, but in some ways it's so similar to Australia. It's the riding style, what we do together, how we do it, and it's fascinating. I'm just sitting here. We've got a thing in South Australia called the Big Lobster. And it's a big statue as well. We have lots of big things. Got big bananas, big pineapples, big prawn. It's a big country. It's about the size of Canada. So, and it was interesting. JD got there and said, "Oh, people don't realise the size of Canada. Try it when you're an island in the Pacific." And people go, "I want to go up to the Barrier Reef one day. I want to see that rock." The next, you're going, "Not going to happen. Too far." So yeah, I'm finding these fascinating. Although I'm sitting shotgun here at the moment, I'm intrigued by it all. It just fascinates me. So thank you.
Actually, what's really funny is you said the words South Australia, and here in the Maritimes we have a lot of sea shanties. Sea shanties are a lot of the pubs, the maritime music, the maritime feel. And what's really funny is a lot of these songs actually connect to Australia. There's actually one I hear all the time, Southern Cross. It's based on Australia, your constellations. Things like that, and it's an awesome song, the Southern Cross. And if people don't know, Google it because it's a great song. But then all of a sudden, when you said South Australia, there's a song, Heave Away, when South Australia I was born, and that's what clicked with me. And but we have so many commonalities between our countries for the weirdest reasons, which is part of the fun.
We've even got the same king.
True. Fair call. Yeah.
But not on our coins yet.
I haven't paid that much attention to our coins. I don't think he's on there yet either. Yeah. So anyway, Travis, any last minute comments before we sign this up?
Well, it sounds like it'd be a wicked ride to go check the East Coast, and then hope to see you guys next on April 6th to come check out our ride the West Coast and see what that's all about. That's got some really good rides on it too. Some good roads, some awesome scenery. Just worth checking it out. And of course,
and
keep an eye on my channel for
into song. Yeah. The year was 1778, and he wishes he was in Sherbrooke now. Anyway, JD, before I break out in song, your last chance to.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate.
Or hot cross buns.
Sounds great. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming. I hope you had a good time. I noticed we had a pretty constant number of people that were here. So thanks for coming. Looking forward to seeing you again on April 6th, same time. It's just 3 weeks due to Easter. So let's look forward to talking about Canada's West Coast on that ride. Have a good one, and we'll see you again then.